introduce our speaker today, Steve Signaigo, who probably everybody in this room knows. I'd be surprised if somebody didn't know Steve. So we're happy to have him and appreciate him willing to share his story. And it's a beautiful one. So give a big welcome, please, to Steve.
Hello, friends. Hi, Steve. I want to say that I went to a retreat this past weekend, and I'd almost gotten wrapped up like a knot. I was just in angst, and a lot of stuff going on around me and around our church. And I just needed some time. Didn't really need time with other people, so I was really happy that there was a silent retreat coming up. And I thought of Bish and Jim Townsend, who really wanted me to go to a silent retreat maybe 10 years ago, the Ignatian retreat. And I was going, what? Who would do that? Now, I get it. I really needed it. Coming into this past weekend, Jim Keller, a good buddy of mine from church, had asked me to speak here maybe a month and a half ago. And you know how happy you are to speak when you have a month to prepare. It's kind of like your final exam in college. Yeah, I'll do that. And all of a sudden, it's the weekend before the talk. And so I'm really trying to think about what do I want to talk about. I've certainly had a blessed life, and I really reflected on that when I was at my retreat. And in part of my prayer time, I asked the Lord what He would like me, what direction He'd like me to go in. The immediate response was guardian angels. Guardian angels. I've had a life full of interactions with guardian angels. And if there's something that I want you to know before I get started, is that God has placed a guardian angel with each and every one of you. And if you spend some time, your guardian angel will show himself to you, or herself. I understand they're non-descriptive gender-wise, but as you'll see in my story, I've seen them every which way they can be seen. So I'll start with my first encounter with a guardian angel. My wife thinks that it's her guardian angel. 31 years ago. 31 years ago, we're in Kroger, and my wife is looking on this carousel rack for a book. And this man walks up, and he says, "You're looking for The Gentle Breeze of Jesus." And she said, "What?" "The book you're looking for is The Gentle Breeze of Jesus." And so my daughter is standing there. I'm thinking you might have been there, Steve. So she goes to find a pen and a paper to write it down, The Gentle Breeze of Jesus, and she looks up and he's gone. So she looks around. Where did he go? She's asking my kids, find that man. I want to talk to him. The man is not there. So my wife comes home, and she says, there's a book I want you to get. It's The Gentle Breeze of Jesus. And, you know, pre-Google, you have to do a little work to find a book title. So I find this book, The Gentle Breeze of Jesus. There appears to be one left in America, and it's located in Staten Island, and I have the book forwarded to us. Staten Island. That kind of struck me as being funny back then because my wife was born and raised in Staten Island, so I'm thinking, wow, what a coincidence. But you know, isn't that a God moment, though, to where all this stuff starts coming together? In January of 1987, 31 years ago, I had this book as a surprise. I wrapped it up, and we're at Chili's restaurant, and I had this book wrapped up, and I give it to my wife. My daughter, who was standing next to my wife at Kroger, says, "There's that man." And the guy walked by our table to me, just some guy walking by the table. To my daughter, it was, "That's the man that told us about the book." So the man sits down and watches her unwrap this book. Now, my wife looks over at him, and he's smiling at her. Now, I don't know anything about this man. I don't have any idea what my daughter's talking about. The man gets up and walks off. My wife gets up to follow him. She turns the corner with him. He's gone. Okay? That has been one of the most meaningful books to my wife at that time, and to this day, it's one of her biggest memories of a first encounter with a guardian angel. My next real experience for me personally with guardian angels was, as a lot of you know, my son Matt came as a gift from God to us. I tried to reject the gift, but they wouldn't take him back. So Matt ends up around 18 months old. I don't think he was 2 yet. But my wife used to tell me about the weird things that he would talk about when she's rocking him. She'd be rocking him in his bedroom, getting him ready to put down. So she says, "You need to put him down and experience this with him." And so I'm with him. And I'm bouncing him around, and we're singing and just doing daddy stuff. And he all of a sudden goes, "Angels." And I went, "What? Angels?" And I said, "Do you see angels?" He said, "Yes." "You talking about right here? They're in the room." And he said, "Yes." I said, "How many angels are here?" He says, 2. 18 months old, 2 angels. "How big are they? As big as me?" And he said, "Way bigger than you." So I'm going, "Wow." What are their names? And he just starts to giggle, and he says, "They don't have earth names. They don't have earth names." Coming from an 18-month-old, they don't have earth names. That's all I was able to peel out of him. My wife was with him one night, and which he used to speak regularly of his angels being in his room. And my wife was rocking him, and they're singing. And Matt says, "Bad angels." And she goes, "What?" "Bad angels." And so she's trying to form this prayer. "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you." She's just thinking in her mind, and all of a sudden Matt goes, "They're gone." Just thinking the prayer, they're gone. Think of how powerful prayer is. If you can just think it, it's gone. The evil around you is gone. At this retreat this weekend, we were talking about, part of the instruction was about wanting to be near God. What draws us to adoration, for example? You want to be near God. I want some one-on-one time with God. I want some one-on-one time with Jesus, the creator of the universe. And Sister Eileen, this was her last retreat at Our Lady Queen of Peace, Sister Eileen says, as soon as you desire God, you are in prayer with God. Just desiring to be with God, you are in prayer with God. Just a desire. That just lit me up inside of how often we try to find time. That's prayer. I have another experience that happened. My experience with Matt was 25 years ago. 20 years ago, I have a son, Nick. And Nick was coming out of Houston Middle School. Nick remembers this as clearly today as it happened yesterday to him. My wife was running traditionally late to pick him up from school. And if she didn't pick him up at school, she would always pick him up at his friend's house who was across the street from school. So she's headed to the friend's house across the street, and the street, this is before stoplights being out there. Houston Middle was exactly where it is today, all those many years ago, but there weren't stoplights there like there are today. And so Nick's just bebopping along, and she sees, she's going in the opposite direction. Nick is coming from the school and fixing to cross over what today is Wolf River Parkway. And she sees him. He's got his headphones on. He's obviously rocking to some Sony Walkman back then, probably before iPhone and iTunes and all that. He's got his Walkman in his pocket. He's rocking as he's bebopping, 8th grade, cool guy. And she sees he's fixing to step off the curb. And she's thinking, oh my God, he's going to get hit. And she sees a car speeding down the road. Oh my God, he's going to get hit. And just when he takes the step off, he's wearing a hoodie, and his hood snaps and pulls him back onto the curb. Nick, being who Nick is, was ready to punch somebody's lights out. He sees the car go by, and all of a sudden, there's nobody around him. Nobody around him at all. He was by himself, and somebody yanked him back to the curb and saved his life. Nick gets into the car. My wife sees it happen. Did you see what my guardian angel did? My guardian angel saved me today. That's an 8th grader with faith. An 8th grader. You ask him today, he's 36 years old today, he remembers being an 8th grader and his angel pulling him back. About 8 years ago, my son Stephen has a couple of kids, and they were so happy to tell me their guardian angel's name. An 8-year-old granddaughter says, my guardian angel's name is Grace. And my grandson said, my guardian angel's name is Joseph. And so I said, how do they know that? Well, I just told them, you know, you can go to Mass, you're in a state of grace, go to communion, come back, say a prayer, and ask your guardian angel what their name is. And to little people, he says it's just instantaneous. My kids, his son said, how did you do that? Steve says, what would you hear? Joseph, Joseph, Joseph. I heard it over and over. And what you weren't talking. How did you do that? He was thinking somebody was talking to him that was here with amongst him. And it wasn't. It was his angel talking to him. And her angel spoke to her and told her her name. Prior to that, I had heard that if you wanted to know your guardian angel's name, that you, of course, needed to be in a state of grace. And I had heard that if you go to confession, you go to communion, you go to Mass, you go to communion, you can come back and you can ask. I did that myself. And prior to my granddaughter doing it, which was kind of surprising that my granddaughter had found this way of finding her guardian angel. One day I'm in the chapel at Incarnation, probably 10 years ago. And I've told my friends at Curcio group some of the things that you're going to hear. My friends have already heard. And anyway, I get back to the pew, get on my knees, and I said, you know, I was just wondering, temperance. Well, what I was wondering was temperance. Well, I was thinking maybe you'd give me temperance. I was just wondering if I could learn your name. Temperance. Temperance. Oh, okay, I get it. it was over again. It was just over and over again. I've shared that story with some of my kids that I teach in 8th grade for the sacrament of confirmation. We kind of get involved with angels come up as well as Jesus and going to church on Sunday, and how you have to be a practicing Catholic in order to receive the sacraments. And so one of the kids in the class had already done that routine and knew of her angel's name. A week later, one of the boys came back and found out his angel's name. I was sharing this information with an older lady who works in the parish office, and she says, "That's a bunch of malarkey." And I said, "You know, the problem is, you're never going to know your angel's name." You know, if it's malarkey, it's malarkey. You're just never going to know. So I'm all about giving it a shot. So around 5 years ago, I'm at Kroger. My friends have heard this story, I know. I'm at Kroger, and I had been sick about a month earlier. It was in the wintertime. I'd been sick about a month earlier, and I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and I was just trying to find a throat lozenge. And I said, you know, so I'm looking around, and I find this package of perfect throat lozenges. So a month later, I'm in Memphis, and I'm at Kroger. And I'm leaning over. Literally, there's this rack, and I'm leaning over, looking at the rack. And I'm just thinking, which one is it? You know, during throat flu, cold season, the rack is just filled with all these different types of stuff, all the way from Ludens, which is, back when we were kids, which was nothing but candy, I think, and all the way up to some pretty powerful stuff, Hall's methylyptus stuff. And so I'm just trying to find, because what I bought, was in a bag, and it was multi-flavors, and it was awesome. And so I'm just trying to figure out which one is it. And all of a sudden, I feel a presence next to me, and it's a man. I look over at him. He's an old codger. He's older. He's an old dude. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "You know, about a month ago, I was in Birmingham." He goes, "Mm-hmm." And I said, I found this great throat lozenge when I was in Birmingham." And he goes, "Mm-hmm." And so I'm just trying to find it. I'm hoping it'll jump out at me. And he said, "That's it right there." I went, "What?" He said, "That's it right there. That's the one right there." So I reached over, looked at it, grabbed it, and I went, "I'll be damned, that's it." Gone. I'm telling you, gone. And I'm standing right next to me to gone. Looked around for him. He is nowhere. Gone. I told my wife, I met Temperance. Temperance, I thought was a girl. Temperance is a guy. And the old guy. He's older than me. I hope he makes it the rest of the way with me. So anyway, 2 years ago, I'm at Walgreens, and I need to look in my bag real quick. And doing pretty much the same thing, I'm looking for throat lozenges, and I'm just looking at this big array of throat lozenges. And this woman walks up. And young woman, stellar attractive. And she said, "You looking for a good throat lozenge?" And I went, "Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, I am." She said, "This right here is the best there is. You will love it." And I said, "Really?" I said, that doesn't look very good. And it's this. That doesn't look like much." She said, "It's all you need. It is awesome." And so I went to pick up a box, and she said, "Not that one. That's cherry. You need the other one." And I said, "Okay." So I said, "Thank you." She was already halfway down the aisle, walking away. And I said, "Temperance?" What a leap of faith for me. "Temperance?" She's at the end of the aisle. turns, smiles, walks. I jump around the other side, go to that aisle, gone. Nowhere in the store. Now, in all honesty, that's what I anticipated temperance to look like. But she is going to be with me the whole ride. The name of this, and I think this is a joke, because, wouldn't it be cool to be an angel and drop in periodically and joke around with you? So here I am. Here's my angel telling me that fisherman's friend is the cough lodgings that I need. Fisherman's friend. I'm in the fishers of men, and I'm involved. And this has got to be a joke. And I couldn't wait to grab her and talk to her. You're joking, right? And however, this is my lasting image of, so far, my encounter with my guardian angel and fisherman's friend throat lozenges.
Are they any good?
They're great. They're very good. They're very good. They're very good. I'm at my home yesterday, and my daughter comes over with her daughter, my granddaughter, one of 12. She is 2 years old. And she says, "Dad, you're not going to believe this. This is really amazing." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Anna, what's your guardian angel's name?" And she says, "Mary." And my daughter Elizabeth says, "You can ask her any day of the week, any time of day." Mary is her guardian angel. She's been saying it for the past several months. It just kind of came up. My guardian angel's name is Mary. And, oh, really? That's nice. Pick up your toys. But yesterday in front of me, my guardian angel's name is Mary. I got to believe, with having been with Matt, that there's a veil that hasn't quite closed in front of these children yet. That closes off as you get older and keeps us from seeing beyond the veil. I think our little children have that ability to see beyond the veil, and they can see in there, and they remember being there. Remember, they came from there to us with their guardian angel. The greatest thing that ever happened, and Brian Watson, when he heard that I was going to talk today, he says, "You're going to bring this up?" And I said, "Well, it's part of it. It's not the whole thing, but it's part of it." My friends in the Cursillo table know this too. Me and my wife are at Mass one day, and on a Sunday. And I just read that anytime the consecration takes place, that the church opens up and legions upon legions of angels are there. Think about that. Every consecration, at every Mass, the church opens up and receives angels who are singing to our Lord about the greatness of His being. So we're at Mass, the consecration is taking place, and I looked over at my wife and I said, "How many angels? How many angels do you think are in here today?" She said, "I know it's full. It's got to be just full of angels. I wish I could see one." We're looking up at the ceiling at Incarnation, and all of a sudden, is a feather begins to drop from the ceiling. A white feather drops from the ceiling. We're going, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And it's just drifting around, wisping inside the church, falling down. It falls into a pew. I run up about 5 rows ahead of me, and, excuse me. Something belongs to me is in here. And, but I never found the feather. And I came back to the pew just really disappointed. My wife says nothing. And I said, "No." She said, "Did you really think you'd find a feather?" I said, "I was hoping I would." That was pretty awesome, though, to have seen a feather as a sign of proof. Not that I was looking for proof. I believed it anyway. But isn't it great to get a sign from above that they're here. I have some handouts over here that describes the presence of angels and how you might recognize them in your life. I don't know that I have enough copies made. But on page 2 is the white feather. When I was doing some research, I found out that the feather is done a lot. A lot of people have seen feathers drop from the sky when they're talking about their guardian angels. So I might invite you to try that out and see what happens. I also have some business cards that have my name on the back, which is a website, stevesignaigo.com. You can find the video from Men's Morning of Spirituality from a couple of years ago, which talks about how we got Matthew into our lives. And now I'll probably add this video here to it as a sequel. Thank you very much for your time. I've enjoyed being with you today.